Hi, in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at Emacs 29's yank-media command, which allows you to copy images from the clipboard into Emacs. At the moment the only modes supported for this are HTML mode and message mode. Now in a previous video I almost got this working with org mode, and I've spent a bit of time trying a few different permutations and I finally got it working perfectly. So what I'm going to do is actually switch across to org mode here, and I've got an org document, and up top here what I have is startup and content and inline images, and what that will do is it will automatically display any images that I've added. So what I'm going to do is create some headlines and add some text and images and show you how easy this is. So what I'm going to do is actually copy some images from this web page and paste in the text. So first heading is going to be Joe Linton, and what we're going to do is come across here and select copy image. We now switch across to org mode and run meta x yank-media, and you'll see it's actually prompting us for different MIME types that we want to use. So first of all what we do is we select a type. So we're going to select image WebP, and then we're prompted to save the file and give it a name. So we can say image WebP, and what I've done is create an images directory, so I'll save all the images in there. So images joelinton.webp, and what you'll see is it has now inserted an org mode file link to the image, and if I put the cursor over the link and run Control-C-X-V, you'll see it's now displaying the image there. What I'm going to do is actually just come across and copy the text just to give it a more sort of realistic article feel. Now if I close this file and reopen it, what will happen is the image will automatically be displayed here. So you can see we've got the image and then we've got the text. You can also, I believe, set the default size for the images in an org document, so that's another thing to look into. What I'll do is just rattle through and create some new headlines and show you this, how easy it is now to add images. So what we need to do is select the image, copy image, call this Matt Ritchie. Let me spell his name properly. R-I-T-C-H-I-E. We just do yank-media, and of course you could bind this to a keyboard shortcut. We're going to choose image WebP, save it in the images, we'll call it map.webp, come across, copy the text, a bit of space up there, Control-C-X-V, oh, need to do it twice, there you go. Now you can see the image. I'll just toggle the image off again as I do this. Again, just create a heading, Ryan Fraser. You need to select copy image, not copy image link, by the way, just in case you copy the URL. And just run yank-media. You can, if you press tab, it will auto complete to the most recently used one. Images, tab, Ryan.webp. Remember to give it the correct file extension for the MIME type you've chosen. And just copy this in. And if I now open it up, what you'll see is all the images are automatically available, enabled. So we got that. Got the next image, text, image, and text. Okay, so how do we do this? So this is the code. me just fill up my cup of tea. And what we also need to do is actually figure out where all this came from. So first of all, what we have is this section up here with eval after load org. And then what we have is this setq yank-media registered handlers image dot org mode yank handler. So what this does is, the way this works is the yank media command uses this yank media registered handlers. It looks in the current buffer to see if there's a registered handler for images, basically. So you can see this images thing here, and then we have this dot, and then this basically refers to the function. So what it's doing is it's registering a handler for images and then the function that it's going to use. So the next thing that we have to do is this kind of three parts. You have to create a registered handler. So the yank media command looks in the buffer and it says, okay, yeah, there's a handler for this yank media command available for this mode in this buffer. Then what we've got is this yank media handler. And again, this is similar to the thing up here. So we have the registered handler, then we have the media handler. So we've got image. So when I inserted the image, what you saw is a list of MIME types. You see like image WebP, image PNG, JPEG, that sort of thing. So this matches all those MIME types that are available from the clipboard for the image that we've copied. And then this runs the function org mode image yank handler, which is this thing down here. And what I'm going to do is actually show you where I got all this code from, because the mode is available for HTML and message mode. So doing some detective work, I found where this code was for image mode, and then modified it so that it works with org mode. So the code for image for the HTML mode obviously inserts HTML into the buffer, whereas what we want down here is, you can see what it's doing is it's inserting a file link to the image. So we've got an org mode file link to the image. I've got the file colon, and the S corresponds to this file relative name file, which is the actual file that we've inserted. Okay, so those are the 3 bits. So how do we figure out where all this stuff came from, and what was the process to get from it not working to it now working? So the things that we want to look at are the yank media handler and the yank media registered handlers. So if we run control HV, describe variable yank media registered handlers. Okay, what you'll see, first of all, you'll see here is a variable defined in yank-media.el. Its value is, and this has come from the my Emacs.init.el. So what I'm going to do is actually create an HTML page. So test.html, and then show you when I run control HV, describe media handler, what you'll see is this is a HTML file, so it's an HTML buffer, and what it's doing is it's saying yank media registered handlers is a variable described in yank-media.el. Its value is, and you'll see that we've got this new section down here. So what we've got is this text.html yank handler for images, and then we've got this other one for text.html. So we've got text.html and image, because you can paste in HTML to the HTML buffer, but we don't want that for org mode. So this is the first clue. This is if I just have if I have a normal buffer, let me just show you test.text. Okay, this is a text mode. You can see down here, this is a text mode. If I run Control HV on this, Control HV, okay, what you'll see in the text mode, this is showing its default value that okay, but it's not showing the different modes. It won't show up the value changes. What I'm trying to basically get at. So let me just come back to the HTML one. So Control HV, yeah. So this is what the mode looks like. What the value of this yank-media registered handlers is in an HTML buffer. Okay, so this is the kind of syntax that we need to create for the org buffer. So let's have a look at this yank-media.el. So this is the yank-media.el file where the yank-media registered handlers and yank-media stuff is. So what we can see up here, first thing, define variable, yank-media registered handler is nil. So by default, what happens is when you run describe variable yank-media registered handlers in a org file before you've added this code that I've come up with, it will just say nil. So that's basically the default. Okay, then what we've got is the yank-media command. So let me just come across to I'm going to close this and come back to my init.el so I can sort of take you through these two things. So we've got the yank-media register handler, we've got the yank-media handler. So we've got yank-media here. So yank-media images HTML and write from the clipboard. This command depends on the current mode having support for accepting the media type. The mode has to register itself using the yank-media handler mechanism. Okay. So normally what happens is, as I was showing in the previous video when I was trying to get this working, is what would typically happen in an org mode document when you ran yank-media is it would say the mode hasn't registered any, the org mode hasn't registered any handlers, and it wouldn't work basically. So what we've got down here is the yank-media handler. So that's this thing, yank-media handler. So regular handler for dealing with yank-media action for types. Type should be a MIME type, symbol, a regular expression, or a list that can contain both symbols and regular expressions. The handler is a function that will be called with two arguments, the MIME type and the selection data a string. So what this does is this is saying yank-media handler images. So create a handler for images and then run this function here. So that's this function down here. Okay, so this was what I was kind of looking at the other day. I was thinking it's got to be something to do with this yank-media registered handlers thing, and looking at when I described the variable for the HTML mode, it gave me a clue as to what the sort of the syntax was that we needed to create. So this was the piece. These were the two pieces that the puzzle that I got working in the previous video. This is the final piece that actually gets it all working. As I said, there's three parts to it. There's registering the handler. So that's basically saying that a particular mode has got this set up so that it can handle images and then run a function. Then what you have to do is create the handler. So you basically say, okay, on images, I want you to run this function. Okay, and then now this is the final bit. This is the actual function that inserts the image. And again, I had to do a bit more detective work to figure out where this where the code was. So speaking laterally, what I did was there were basically two supported modes by default: message mode and HTML mode. So I thought if I can find the source for those modes, maybe it will actually have some code in that handles the images. So if I come across this path's going to be different on your system because I build Emacs from source. So user local share Emacs 30 Lisp text modes. It is text modes. sglml-mode.el.gz. Okay, and if you have a look in that file, what you'll see, if I come to the top, search for yank-media, there's two bits. We've got these two sections down here, yank-media handler text HTML, and then that runs this function here, and then we've got another one, yank-media image. So for org mode, obviously we want to insert the image as a file link, so that's what we're interested in. So that's where we've got the first bit of the code. You can see here, yank-media handler image. And that, so what that does is that corresponds to this bit here. So you can see basically all I've done is change that from HTML mode image yank handler to org mode image yank handler. Makes sense? Okay, so that's one bit of the puzzle. And now this is the next bit. This is the function. This is the HTML mode image yank handler function in the sgml-mode.el.gz file. So we can take a look at that and we can see, okay, it's this bit here is taking a type and an image, and this kind of corresponds to the messages we get when we use it. Save image to image exists already, overwrite it. So that kind of makes sense. And then we've got like temp buffer insert region, so right region point min max file. So that's like 2 points in the file. So then what we have here is this insert format image source. So what you can see here is it's actually inserting HTML code. So what we need to do is actually swap out this image source bit here, this, and replace it with the org mode link. And there's another issue is, you see the %S. What that does is that inserts the file name surrounded by double quotes, which we don't want in the org link because it would break it. So what we do is we actually change that line so it says this, insert format, and then the org mode link down here. So we've got file : % lowercase s. And we don't need the rest of this code here, this insert image, create mail cap, because that's basically for sort of adding sort of little thumbnails to email messages and stuff. So we don't need that. We just want the image link, an all file image link to the image that we've inserted. So that's where the other bit of that code came from. So these two bits of code came from the sgml mode file, and all I had to do was change this from HTML to org, and then remove the extra bit of code we don't need, and then change it to that. But this was the bit that was actually difficult to figure out. This was the final piece of the puzzle that kept me up at night trying to figure out why it wasn't working, because what was happening was, as I demoed in the previous video, I'd go into an org file and it wouldn't work, but if I reloaded my entire Emacs init.el file, it would the yank-media command would suddenly work. But that's no good. You know, that's not a solution. So the way that I actually figured this out was by, I'll come back here. I'm in the test.html file. So what I figured out was running the control HV describe registered handlers. When I was doing that, typically in the org document, it would just say its value is nil. Okay. And you can see here what we've got here, its value is, and then we've got local in buffer test.html global value is. So when I did the describe variable, this is said what caught my eye. So this is the only bit we actually need, isn't it? The image mode, this image dot HTML. So that's how I sort of came up with this bit of code here. And you can see the difference. And this hasn't got the, you know, the pound sign, the you know, the hash, comma. So I needed to do two things from actually just, you know, copying that bit of code there, changing that to org. What I needed to do was put a little comma in there. You can see we've got, so it's kind of like a list. Yeah, you can see you can sort of see the format. It's kind of like a list here. So we had, it's also, I kept sort of evaluating and saying wrong number of arguments, you know, wrong, passing the wrong kind of thing to it. So after trying, you know, various permutations of this, this is what actually worked. Quote, you know, an image dot hash, comma, org mode image yank handler. So what we're doing is we're also setting this with eval after load org, so that it runs after org's loaded, and then basically registers the handler for org mode buffers for images, and then this image, this function, and then we create the org mode image yank handler. So we've got the yank-media handler where we say, okay, for images, I want you to run this function. And then again, we've got the function down here where we insert the file link. So that's how I figured it all out. It was a bit of a journey to actually get there and get it all working, because there's not really too much about, and again, you know, if I search for Emacs 29 yank-media, what happens is I get the video that I did yesterday come up as the second item, which always happens to me. I'm searching for something quite obscure. You know, I might, you know, put something on GitHub or do a video about it, and I'm, you know, searching for it, and I get my own stuff come up. So yeah, this was the Emacs 29 news. So that's this section. The yank-media command supports yanking non-plain text media like images and HTML from other applications into Emacs. They only support in modes that have registered support for it, and only on capable platforms. And this is the guy that actually contributed this to Emacs, Lars Ingebrigtsen. And basically this is his webpage, and I showed you this in yesterday's video. Here's yanking an image into a mail. So you can see this is a mail mode. I'm just going to pause this as it sticks it in. So what you'll see here is he's inserted the image, and you can see it's come up 200 there, and that is the bit of code that I was showing you from the SGML mode ELGC file, where it's got 200 by 200 in it. And this is adding HTML to an HTML mode. So you can see down here a.html. What you're going to do is copy the actual HTML, copy the text from the web page and paste it in as HTML. Okay, so those are the officially the only two supported modes. This was from about 2 years ago. I've come across to yank-media. Okay, you can see here copying media to Emacs by Lars Ingebrigtsen. So that's a link to the page that I was just showing you, and this is the thread about that. There's also a thread on the Emacs develop mailing list about yank-media, and I'll post a link to that because there were some people mentioning that org mode wasn't actually supported. Only HTML and message mode was supported. It'd be nice to be able to use yank-media with org mode, and now you can. So basically all you need to do to get this working is two things. You need to be running Emacs 29 or above, and you just need to put this bit of code into your emacs.init.el file. And again, I explained all the sections down there, what it does. And you can cross-reference, with the files that I've actually mentioned. So here's my Emacs init.el file with that same code in there. So there's not a lot of code to actually get it working. And then once you get it working, let's see if we can use more photos. Okay, so just how easy this is to actually use. Desktop. So what I did was, let me just delete that. Yeah. So we've got the org file. And again, what you can do is set inline images as a startup option up here. And what that does is when you reopen the file, it will automatically display the images rather than you having to press Control-C-X-V on each link to actually show the images. So this is nice because you can put them all under separate headings and toggle them on and off. So there we go. We've got Big Joe. We've got some text. Come through to the next one. There's Matt Ritchie, veteran. And we've got Ryan Fraser, who's been sent to play with the kids. So it's really easy to now just whack in something like there. So Joe Willock. To show you how quick and easy it is, just copy the image. And you can bind yank-media to a keyboard shortcut. You're prompted for the image type, so you can see down here the image type may differ depending on what browser you use, but for Firefox you get options. Also, the other nice thing about this is when you typically save an image from Firefox, it will usually just give you one option in the browser. It'll either say, save as PNG, or depending on the sort of file extension of the image link, it will just say you save as PNG or JPEG or all files. I think then what you have to do is, if you give it a file extension like JPEG or TIFF or whatever, I guess it automatically uses the right MIME type and that kind of thing. But this is nice. Basically, the way this works is if there are multiple options for the image type, you'll be presented with a list like this. But if there's only one option, it will just default, and I think it will probably move on to the save image. So all you do is just run image webp or whatever, and you can just tab this image webp, press return, save it in there. We'll call that joe.webp. Just give it the right extension. I didn't bastard. So auto completed to the wrong thing. yank-media, image webp, images, joe.p. I think it was like auto. Why is it? That's really weird. Why it's auto completing? So there's some weird issue why it's give me an error. So 1.webp. Okay, there you go. That's weird. So what have I done there? um, that's not right. So why is it suddenly inserted that as a an image there? So that's not good. So have I broken this already? So let's just restart Emacs. Make sure during the demo I haven't just actually broken what I got working. There's always a possibility. Okay. WebP images test.webp. Okay. F for that. So I don't know what was going there. It's the demo jinx. Control XV. Control XV. You can now see it's being displayed. You can see it's also being displayed full size. So let's just have a quick shifty at org mode and inline image sizes, because I think from memory that there's something that you can put in the top of the org file, like an option, and specify the width or something. Emacs org mode inline images. Okay. You can set the caption. Okay, attribute HTML. Let's try that. I thought there was a way you could do that with globally. Can't remember, so we'll turn that on and off. This may not work. Oops. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it does work. So you can see 300 pixels there. Can we add that globally? So you can see here, these are all big. So can we add that as a global thing? Org. Okay, yeah. By default, org displays according to actual width. You can customize the desired width using org image actual width variable globally, or org image actual width property. Okay, so use the actual width when set to a number. Use image magic. Okay, so that's cool. When set to a number list, try to get the width from an attribute. So can we? Is it options? I forget how you do that. You know where you can set properties. Get the me have to refresh my memory. If there's anything with the actual properties. Okay, start up inline images. I already got that. Just there's org mode links. Yeah, I'm sure there's some syntax. I forget what the properties thing is. Org mode properties. Sorry about this. Properties. I thought there was a yeah, properties. Yeah, like property. That's it. Can we do property? Something like that. Can we do that? Where did we get that from? Default non-nil. Can we do like set a width, actual width, like say, let's make it a bit bigger, 400, and let's just take that out. No, that didn't work. Maybe if I didn't have that as a lowercase. No, that didn't work. Org actual width. Well, yeah, you can see if I had them actually above the image, that worked. But can I do that? I don't think. Can I do that globally? Check. No, see, that didn't work. But if I do that, it does work. So have to have a look at what the option is for setting that globally, but you can set it per one. So if I figure that out, I'll put a bit of code in the video under, with the description, that sort of thing. So I'll put links to all this under the video. Took a while to actually figure this out and do a bit of detective work and figure out the syntax of everything. So again, just a quick look at it again. 3 bits. Setting the registered handler using with eval after load org. So we had to set the registered handler for the org mode buffers, and then we had to set the yank-media handler so that it would pick up images and then run the function. And then finally we've got the function down here where we removed that extra bit of code from the sig.el, the sig sgml mode.elgz file, and basically changed the bit of code that it was inserting from an HTML image tag to an org file link. So you can see here org file, and then use the lowercase s so that the file name's not surrounded by double quotes, which would actually break the link. And that's all you got to do. Put that bit of code in your init.el file, and as long as you're running Emacs 29 or above, it should work. I've restarted Emacs and tried, see if there's any issues, but I haven't come across any. And I'm using Fedora 38 with latest version of GNOME running on Wayland, and this is Emacs 30. Built from source as a pure GTK native Wayland application. So this works on Wayland as well. So it works perfectly on Wayland. But if you have a look at the documentation for this, if I come across to the thing I closed, yank-media. Okay, what it does actually mention is it's only available in certain modes that have registered support for it, which, as I mentioned, was HTML message mode, and now we've got org mode, and only on capable platforms. So there is actually a thread on the Emacs.devel list about yank-media, and basically because the way this works is actually grabbing the contents of the clipboard, so that differs depending on the platform, like whether it's Mac or Windows or Linux. So I can't say if this works on Windows or Mac running Emacs 29 as yet. I don't know if there's any issues with the yank-media command with those platforms, but on Linux it's working fine. And I also did a video about how you can build Emacs 30 from source. So if you want to actually use this, I want to load up today, please. Okay, there we go. If I come across, and where was it? Well, basically just come across here, search for Emacs. Okay. Okay, and I did there we go. So we've got Emacs 29. And here's the latest one, builder Emacs 30 pure GTK for Wayland with native compilation on Linux. And I also set that up with tree sitter. So there's a link to an org file on GitHub with all the steps for actually building that. So, and this was the yank-media, but I'll just go through Emacs. And figure out where the what the link was, but it's down here somewhere. Emacs 29. Let me just check. Can't remember what I called it. But I mean, there's the links under the video. I just can't remember what it was actually called. Let's just have a look. It's probably easier to look under here and okay. Okay, yeah. So this was the steps for building Emacs 30 on Fedora, and the only difference is if you're using a different distribution, the package names will be different, but the general steps will be the same across all versions of Linux. And it doesn't actually take that long to build Emacs from source. When I first did it, I was thinking, oh, I'll have to leave it overnight. I had it done in like less than 20 minutes. The longest step is actually cloning the Emacs Git repository, which takes like 6 or 7 minutes. But actually, once you've got all the packages installed and you actually go through these steps, it actually only took 5 or 6 minutes to actually build Emacs from source, and that was on a Dell XPS 15 with 16 gig of RAM. So I also did built Emacs from source on my 2011 MacBook Air, and that took maybe like 20 30 minutes, and that's 2011 with 4 gig of RAM. So if you want to get this yank-media command working and you're using an older version of Emacs that came with that's in your repository for your distribution, like if you're running Ubuntu or something, an LTS, you can actually build the latest version of Emacs from source in less than 30 minutes, and have a pure GTK Wayland application and be able to yank stuff from the clipboard into Emacs. So that's all for now, and I'll put links to all this under the video. Took a bit of digging to actually figure this out, but try it out and let me know if there's any issues on other platforms like Mac or Windows if you use Emacs on those platforms. So that's all for now.